I told Marco that I can work on the conviction graph because it's a bit difficult to explain. So I can coordinate with Luca in that part.
Yeah, I'll have some updates on that side as well when
Okay.
my turns comes around.
Sorry. Cool. Well,
What
let's get this
happened?
party started.
I think I lost Sam, or
no, I think Sam's still here, right? Sam? Oh, maybe. Well, I started playing the recording just to test that it's working because I've had a lot of trouble with the recordings lately. But we can just start like we normally do with intentions and agenda topics. It should be, I think it's going to be a really quick call. Hey, Craig. So my intentions for the call, yeah, just to like kick this through as quickly as we need to, as we can, and not belabor it if there's not much to talk about. I don't have any distractions or really agenda topics other than I'm really excited to see the progress on the front end. I think you guys had a big week, so I'll pass it to you, Simon.
Okay, so my intentions for the calls is to set up with Griff a venue for the MetaMask communication, because my CEO prompted me a bit about that. And the other part is to get you, well, the updates on the front end and show you where we are at the sprint, and maybe ask a few questions. And as far as instructions, the usuals, there's the cat roaming around, so that's the only one. Wife is in the meeting somewhere in the city, so I'm good.
Nice.
And I pass it on to Marco, who just logged in.
Thanks, Simon.
Hey.
First, apologies for being late. I was in the call with Jess, actually, and she's going to probably share something with you later on. Intentions, hearing the updates on the front end, sharing the updates on the front end. What else? No distractions at the moment. And I pass it on to Craig.
Intentions to learn what the heck you guys been here. This is my first Common Simulator weekly sync call. Distractions currently 0, but wait a minute or two and we'll be selling, I'm sure.
Nice. And then Sam?
Intentions. See how the front-end work is going and coordinate a little bit with everything. And distractions to me is keeping having it is giving problems to me. I don't know if I will be all the time in the call. But I will just reconnect. And I have a lot of different fronts right now with Commons Stack and OneHive. So I'm a bit distracted with different projects for this week, I guess. But I want to be in that call and see how I can work on that project.
I think that's it.
Everyone.
Yeah. So let's start with the front end update.
Okay, that's my cue. Okay, so let's see. I'll start with the things we didn't do in this sprint. So let's put the bad news out of the way. I still haven't broken down the user stories into more elaborate development tasks. And that's the reason is the other part, that we're a bit behind. I mean, on our own schedule. It's not in dramatic, but we're basically 2 days behind. So just to give you an update of that, because we should have been done on Friday, but you know, Luca did some work on the weekend. He had some other issues in his private stuff that took away a day or so for him. So we basically just lost a day or 3, you know, last week. And it's also, I don't know what you guys, but they're going hysterical around here due to the pandemic. Our numbers are going up, so everybody's, you know, it's been hectic, and you know the regulations are getting tighter and tighter. So we put everybody mandatory on remote work and so on. Yeah. But the good news is we basically did like 95% of the target for this sprint. by today. So I'll just share my screen real quick and run you through to the front end to see where it's at now. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this is the first page. The animation, I think, is still working. Okay, there are small bugs, but since there are a lot of things that don't work right yet, but so we should just ignore most of it. And
Of course.
keep in mind that the task for this for this sprint was basically to implement end-to-end workflow, meaning all the navigation through all the sides of the app. So the general acceptance criteria, we should be able to get to the end of the simulator through the UI of the page. So by the end of the, when I press everything and we can start, we should end with the, what's the last one? The sum or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so the intro. Anyway, all of this is public on the commons.devs.synthesis.link. So you can also, go to the address and do it yourself. I'm just going to go really fast through it. There's a lot of screens.
Nice. And all these pictures are good to go, Marco, like as in like we have the rights to them and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we have the rights to roll to freeze. Those are from Unsplash. Some of the background images will have to be replaced because I don't like them, or something is on them, or it's not because we can't use them.
Yeah, we had a talk during the week and sprint about it. So the main thing is that the all-around skeleton is fixed and we got it in place and the navigation works. And replacing an image and setting up the typography is basically like a 15-minute task or something like that. So that's not the issue. So no problems there. So I just went to level 0, I typed in my name, placeholder images and the text. There's a lot of typos, things like that. I don't know, everything is very... Yeah,
don't worry,
we're going through it. So this is where I think the simulator starts, basically. The members part. This is just a placeholder slider to let us know that it's going to be somewhere here. Input field.
Ooh.
So I'm going through the steps, right?
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, the skeleton is there. And also, one more thing. I also added a note in the Figma yesterday or early this morning.
We got the results. Sorry, comments. There we go. The graph, and I think Back to the Future. Play again. Play again. Oh, let's restart. Let's see what this does. What does this button do?
Ooh.
Like nothing. Exit. There we go. We're back. Yeah. So that's basically it. In terms of where we at, as I said, link is online. You can visit it at any time and play around with it yourself. So just to give you a quick review of the Jira board, this is the current state. I was wondering maybe, Marco, if you want to include yourself in QA, basically what everybody needs to do is just take a card, go through the web page and just make sure that the UI is there in place and that you can access the page. And then if you're satisfied with it, just put it into done. I don't know if you guys want to get involved with that or you want to let me do all of those, but I think it's better to have two pair of eyes than one. So
sure, I'll assist on that.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, that's the cleaning part for me and Marco to do. So that's something for this week. And since we just finished the sprint today, basically, tomorrow, I talked to Luca before the call. Tomorrow we'll go to actually break down all the user stories, and what will come here will be probably a set of subtasks concerning how we're gonna, break up all the animations and how Luca is going to actually implement them. So we had a planning on Monday, a short call, Marco, Luca, and me, the one that Sam was also invited to. So Sam, here's the fill up for you to be on track. We basically agreed that we're going to go like a classic agile way after we set up the architecture and everything, the platform, and go simply user by user story and get it polished. So by the end of the sprint, the idea for me was to get at least to level 3 in terms of polished apps. And then the level 3 part was the part where we still have this questions about the graph, and Luca also has some, ideas or issues that he's not really sure about to actually how he's going to do it. So my basic goal for this sprint was to actually get polished at least to level 3, and then to actually establish a viable API communications with the CAD simulator. So by the end of the sprint, we should have the level 3, by level 3, everything polished and actual simulation communication to actually send the data and get the data back. This is what I set up for Luca today as a priority. And then we said, if we get enough time for this sprint, we'll try to cram everything in all together. But if we don't, there's still the last sprint, for testing and debugging, which kind of is going to cover all the rest stuff. Because, once we get to the meat part, which is the API, and then the animations, then the rest of it is still all like, moving things around, so not that complicated. Amazing. So if you guys agree, that's the plan.
And the end of next sprint is next Tuesday? Or next
no, the next sprint ends, I think, let me just check the calendar. So next Friday.
Next Friday. Okay. Yeah. So this Friday. So like in 5 days, 4 days.
No. The Friday behind that.
Okay. Perfect.
So 10 days from Monday. This month.
So 10 days from now, we should have the cadCAD API connected and everything polished.
Yeah. That's the target.
Okay.
Yeah. Not everything polished. I think realistically we'll get everything polished to the level 3. And as I said, the graphs, the cylinders, and all the things, we discussed how to get it actually moving. And we will need input from Marco to actually explain if there are any animations and mechanics in more details, in terms of how you adjust the numbers and then how graphs behave. And we also have to, understand the numbers a little bit to actually get them in. So I'm guessing Thursday next week, we're going to have a lot more questions coming your way.
Okay.
Yeah.
The levels that me and Marco worked was level 4 and level 5. So let's focus for now on level 1 to 3, and then
and he's gone. Marco, you want to finish his thought?
Yes.
I would just like to add, if I can, I just had one thing to add. I talked to Mr. Black, and this part will actually be if Sam is online.
Who's Mr. Black?
Mr. Black did the game.commonssimulator.org. It's like the tuning front end.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway, so he sent me some curl example, which I tried out and got a response from the CAD simulator or as a JSON format. And I posted back, he says everything checks out. And so I was just maybe wanted to double check with Sam and you guys. I don't know who is like the authority, let's say, on this area in terms of who actually built the system. So I was thinking probably tomorrow I'll fix all the user journey stories, and then I wanted to get in touch with you, Griff, and Sam just to check, one more time before we get it implemented, that we're actually pinging the right server and getting the right response, because I don't know if the data is wrong or not,
Well, the data will be wrong, and that's okay.
No, I mean, I can't really recognize the general structure of the data is right. I don't really can interpret the data itself, but I don't know even if we're pinging and getting the response from the right, location.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I can coordinate that part.
Okay.
So cool. Because I am getting disconnected like every 5 minutes, and I just lose some part of the conversation. What I wanted to say is that with Luca, I would like to be coordinated for level 5, because that's the conviction voting part, and I think that it will be much easier if we coordinate on how it should look like. And for the API call and that stuff, I guess that Andrew has advanced a lot in the simulation part, and we have to see if it responds well, and then generate the graphs from that part. And they are, I think that they are just graphs They are in the Figma. They are graphs like lines on how the thing is progressing over time, and it should be easy to write. But I would also like to coordinate that with Luca, because he will know which D3 library use for that, which fits better, and all that stuff. But it's the most simple graph of a magnitude over time that we'll have. So,
well, I should maybe just point out that from the side of actually getting the numbers right and representation right, we also have, let's say, a kind of a restriction in time, both and resource in what can actually be done in the browser, right? So we don't have like really elaborate, drawing libraries just from JavaScript that's going to work well. So, there are a couple of sketches that I've seen and designs that it baked my noodle a bit, because I really didn't know how Luca's going to do it, like from looking at it 5 minutes. Most of the things I got it, but the cylinder parts and some aspects of the graph, I think we're going to have a lot of questions. And as I said, I didn't know, Sam, if you heard this, I got a curl example for the CAD communication via API from Mr. Black that I tested out. And as I said to Griff, we will definitely coordinate with you in terms just to verify that we're getting, at least the right type of data in the request, and that we're actually pinging the right location.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am not up to date with Andrew and Mr. Black.
Yeah, I would say Andrew is generally the core person there, but I don't know if he's like the. I think what you're doing with Mr. Black will probably work out really well.
So you can.
Damn. We should start this ringing game. Everybody takes shots when Sam drops out.
Well, Marco, you had a bunch of things that we kept interrupting you. You had a few things.
Yeah. So the first thing, I added a note in the Figma that we're probably going to need Danny's help on the narrative and maybe some of the copywriting later on. But I didn't want to bug her right now, and just wait until we have the coded version, and then let her, invite her or I guess her, because she was writing it, right? To just go through that and fill in the missing parts or rewrite a little bit of that stuff. That's number one. And the number two is what Sam already started saying, is the level 4 and 5 that we reworked last week and worked on those new charts. And we also left a comment for you, Griff, to help us out with some labeling. And also to check it out, basically validate. But I think Sam pretty well explained it to me, and we came to a solution which should be working. And the final thing that I want to say regarding the complexity of the designs that will be implemented, like those cylinders that you, Simon, are referring to, we're open to changing those and simplify those views, just for to save time or efforts or whatever. As I said earlier, even to Luke and yourself, that this is not set hard in stone. We can change that as long as it still looks nice and communicates the meaning of what we're trying to communicate.
Yeah, I agree, but the initial, let's say, restrictions for the representation of the data needs to come from whoever is designing the data, because we can't just pick any representation which doesn't correlate to the data that needs to be shown in any way, right? So I think Sam has a lot of input here, as I understand, and Andrew,
yes.
Right? So first, we got to get a finalized data structure, and then we can start looking at how we're going to represent it, right?
Yeah, so there's two things. There's the results, where you have to get the data, and then there's the
input part.
The input, and the input's really versatile. I mean, you just got to throw a number there. So if the cylinders are a problem, get rid of them.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, because those, I tried to translate the narrative and those inputs and visualize it in a way that it's fun to use But again, like if they're complicated, like let's make something simpler. But outputs are also important. That those 3 graphs. So yeah, we're gonna get to that part, I guess, in the next sprint.
Yeah, in the case of inputs, it's we already have them in the front end that I sent to you. That they are the same inputs, more or less. There is one input that is called alpha, that could be slightly different, but we can also convert the input that we have, which is the number of days that we in which we will reach 80% of conviction. That can be converted directly to alpha. So the inputs are quite clear, and we have them in the front end. Also in the games game.commonsstack.org. There are more inputs there than the ones that we are working with, but more or less they are the same. We are working with 6 inputs. And then the outputs, it's 3 data series of 3 time series. So
yeah, I'm asking Andrew to focus on that this week to make sure that we actually have the right data outputs coming. So
okay.
Hopefully he can making the game correct be a priority this week. The game.commonsstack.org. Because right now it's showing 3 data series, but it's not the right data, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
I am sorry because I keep disconnecting, but just to make it sure, when and what are we going to focus now? Is it on the first level, right? And there is something that you need from me, or I will be working on level 5.
So just to quickly repeat, the target for this sprint, which started yesterday, is to go to polish everything up to level 3, and then just get at least get the API communication going, just to get the input and the output of the data via the current UI. And then if we make more, if we don't have much trouble with that implementation, then we'll probably try to finish all the other UI elements in all the other user stories. And if not, we're just going to push them in the last sprint. We'll do with all the testing and debugging. So that's generally the plan for this and the next sprint.
Okay, I guess that we can use the same API that game.commonsstack.org is using, which is connecting to cadCAD directly. And we have to set up, I don't know if Andrew and Mr. Black are going to do changes this week, but if we require 8 parameters, we can set up 2 that are static and the rest can come from the UI.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, this is the request that Mr. Blank sent me. I don't know why I didn't pass it, immediately here. So just I tried it out, works, everything comes back. I mean, I don't know if the data is correct, but I get a response with a lot of numbers.
Yeah, this should work.
So if this works, this is what we based our initial data structures in terms of JSON formatting and things like that on the request and the post body here and the response that we get. So if this is okay with you guys, we can do a lot of it with this, and then as even if the data structure changes, the important part is to get the communication going, and then it's just adding, removing properties from the JSON. It's not that hard. So
I think that I think that maybe that changes in the long run as we go adding more features and that stuff. But from the front end perspective, the important thing is that it's a nice website, and I think that it's better to focus on the feeling of the front end, and then these parameters probably can be hacked in the future because it's new features can be added and all that stuff once we have that architecture done with the front end and everything there.
Yeah,
Probably
sounds
it's
good.
going to
Okay.
be updated in the future.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll base everything for then at this request we got here, and that's basically, you know, a lot of our troubles swept away.
Hmm.
That sounds nice. Cool. Well, I think that's it. Are there any other topics that we should cover?
Oh yeah,
I don't
one more.
know.
I forgot about this. So about the MetaMask and the entire,
Yeah,
you know,
I-
switching
I'll
of the funds
Let's just stay on after the
after
call.
the call. Okay,
Everybody-
cool.
Yeah,
got it.
we'll just hack
Okay,
it
then
together
I'm
now.
done.
I don't know if Marco showed you the progress we did in levels 4 and 5.
No, not
If
yet.
not, that would be cool to show. Do you
On the
want to go?
call, you want to see it now?
Yeah,
I should-
just to
I should-
show
okay.
just to show them the level
Sure,
4 and
sure.
5 the changes that we did.
One more second, please. I did share everything on Telegram. Was hoping people will click on the link and go into the Figma and check
I've been
it out.
having trouble connecting to Figma the entire day for some reason.
They were under maintenance, I think, yesterday or something like that.
It doesn't look like they solved a lot of problems.
Ah,
Dude, I don't know what's wrong with the internet right now.
I just had a project review yesterday or today. I can't really remember it. It's been a long couple of days. And the team actually made more bugs than tasks that they, you know, resolved. I was like, damn.
you should be seeing my screen now.
Yeah.
Level 4, level 5. All right. So level 4 revisions, what we've done here, we actually changed the chart. We actually switched, instead of having a chart here, to a cylinder or whatever it will be, and change this here threshold, and also we added small tooltips where we pinged you or mentioned you, Griff, to help us with some labeling, like max funds allocated to the proposal, so that we just clear with more clarity communicate to user what they're actually doing on the screen. That's for the number 4, level 4, but the level 5 was revision, where we changed how the graph actually will be displayed and how it works. It almost looks like a shark fin or something like that, because the user will be able to change the time frame, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, and like this is a mock-up for the 90 days. This is how it should be looking like at the end. And like if you hover over these small points here, it should then also show a small tooltip that says conviction reached 80% in 90 days, something like that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So is this like an isometric view of some kind of area, or is it like a 2D curvature? Because you have kind of, yeah,
it's just 2D curve, and the isometric background is just for the visual.
Okay.
You know,
so it's like the way I should
whatever.
perceive it, like a flat screen with a grid that's going in 3 dimensions behind it.
Yeah, the grid is just here for the fancy stuff. You know?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those were the main changes that we've done here. And yeah, we have your Griff, your little mock-up here, drawing on a napkin here.
Are you guys pretty? Oh, it is a receipt.
But a receipt, okay.
Just want to make sure you guys get that right. No, but are you pretty set on the dots, the like 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, or a slider versus a slider, or is it the animations would be too hard, or what's the thought behind that?
I don't know. It was my proposal earlier to have like these 30, 90, 6 months, 1 year, just like steps for user to choose, and then also he can then choose a custom value. So basically add a custom value, say, I don't know, 45 days, or I don't know, 10 days or something like that, or change days to years. Instead of just having a slider which has it has a on one hand one input, and then on it has a start and end. But what is the end, right?
The slider can be the same point, that point that you are hovering. That could be a slider.
Yeah, the slider was previously in the one of the prototypes that I checked earlier, but I just went ahead with radio boxes to have like a predefined selection of the timeframes, and then the user can add a custom value if they want. That was my thinking behind it.
But do you see that we already have a slider right now if we want? If we move that point with the mouse, we can set up custom days.
You mean the so the idea of the pointer here and the mouse where the dot is just for hover. So basically, when you hover over this point, it says what it is. It shows this tooltip. That was the idea. The idea was not to actually have this be this draggable, but I don't know.
It could be draggable.
Yeah.
If we really want a slider, it could be draggable, and then we would be setting the custom value based on that. But it's a bit more complicated, and I don't know if people will use that.
Exactly.
If the front end can handle it, I feel like it would communicate the idea really well if they could grab that line and move it and watch the curve move. If the front end can make that happen, like I feel like it'd be really educational.
I would say it's like a nice to have kind of a thing that we can revisit depending on how much time we spend on getting the current design running and actually working. So that would be a recommendation.
I also agree. If we first do that as it is, then that will be kind of easy to add actually, I think, because we will already have all the pieces there.
I love the low scope. Let's push. No need to make changes. That sounds great.
No, but it's actually a great insight that you just said regarding the whole chart and the whole thing, right? The axis or something like that. I've never thought about that. And especially from the perspective of a user like yourself, it's a great insight actually. If I knew that before, maybe I mocked it up earlier, but
no, it's fine. Let's push. And
I also like the idea, but when it comes to developing, it doesn't matter how simple it looks on design, because you have to pay in mind that if you there are two ways you can implement something like this. Either you write a library from scratch in JavaScript, which is not going to happen anytime soon, or you depend on other people's libraries, right? So you kind of restrict it in that way. You either have to find, I've done a lot of graphs and on iOS and but on web. So basically, a lot of times, if you're going above standard, you're really restricted with what you can actually find out there. So keep that in mind when adding complexity, because as design goes, everything you said, guys, I completely agree. But take into account that we are limited by what is out there, because nobody has like 70 days of workman hours to actually write this from scratch.
I mean, that's what I know for sure. I mean, for me, it takes maybe a week to design something awesome, but it could take probably that awesomeness could take you like months to develop. So
I've had features called Make It Pop that lasted for 2 years,
Yeah.
Make it pop.
Let give it a little bit of wow.
Oh God.
Actual feature requests. I'm not kidding.
Well, okay. I feel like that's our show. Unless there's any other issues or things that we need to sync on for this sprint.
I'm good.
Okay.
Likewise.
Well then, Luca, why don't we just hang out here, and everyone else, thank you. And Craig, Craig, you were watching. Do you have any comments or anything? I want to give you a chance to speak.
You guys are crazy. But yes, no, thank you for letting me listen. I was multitasking and just trying to become more familiar all around with what's happening.
Very cool. Yeah, this is kind of a boring, a pretty like specific software focused call. So, you know, it is what it is. But
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
thanks for coming anyway, man. Absolutely.
thanks.
And you're more than welcome to come every time.
Right on. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.